Thank you so much for joining me today, Gabriel. Why don't you go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself, your business, your experience, and give everyone that's watching the opportunity to know a little bit more about you and what you do.
Awesome. So thank you so much for the opportunity for this. I really appreciate it. And to answer your question, so I'm a 21-year-old who's been running a web design and digital marketing agency for over a year now. And we do all kinds of digital marketing ranging from, Facebook, Instagram ads, Google ads, SEO, which is search engine optimization, email marketing, and so on. But when it comes to our business, what we really like to focus on when it comes to our services is our websites and the websites that we build for the businesses that we partner up with and so on. So, our business mantra here at Unimo Studios is building websites that win, building websites that sell, building websites that convert, because a website is where a business generally exists online. So, our core belief as to why that's our mantra is because we believe a website is the foundation that will act as a catalyst for proper digital marketing. So essentially, if your website is bad, then that means your business online has a really weak and overall useless foundation. Because if the website isn't built to win, or if it isn't really built to convert, then you can send all the traffic you want to that website, but it's not really going to convert into anything, and you're essentially just going to be losing your money and just be wasting your money. But that's pretty much my business in the most condensed version possible.
So you talk about being 21 years old. A lot of people that are 21 years old are not focused on starting a business. So what led you to start your own business a little over a year ago, and why?
So I would have to say the first time I ever thought about starting my business was when my dad kind of like really opened up my eyes to it, because my dad runs and owns a business that does I don't even know how much money a year, like over 100 million in revenue a year, something like that. It's like one of the biggest logistics software companies in Florida, one of the biggest logistics software companies, I think, in the entire United States. But it's a worldwide company, and just seeing how he's grown his business over the last 15 years has really inspired me to, not only be there one day, but be bigger and greater one day. Because seeing that, knowing it's possible, I literally saw him go from nothing to 15 years later to having this massive business with 400 employees, and overall just using that inspiration to light the gas, the fuel inside of me that I think everybody has, but you just got to find the right person or the right trigger to light that gas. But I would say definitely that's definitely overall what has inspired me to definitely chase my goals, seeing what my dad has done with his life.
I can totally relate. My dad started his own business, and that's what led me to eventually start my own. But one thing I wanted to touch on, why now? Why not 5 years from now? Why, when you were 20 years old, did you decide to start a business? I feel like that's such a young age to get started.
Yeah, good question. So I was taking this personal development course, a self-development course called the Landmark Forum back in May, I believe, May of 2018. And the biggest concept that I took away from this course was living your life in the present moment. And life is only in the present moment, and always in the present moment. And it always has been in the present moment, and always will be in the present moment. And the only way you can ever enact really meaningful change and everlasting change in your life is if you utilize the present moment to your advantage, and overall just do what you can with it. Because we don't live in the past, we don't live in the future. The past and the future only exist in our minds. So if we tell ourselves that, I'll start my business in 5 years, I'll start my business in 10 years, I'm never going to get to where I want to get to, because life doesn't exist 5-10 years from now. Life doesn't exist in the future. Life exists in the present moment. So I have to utilize the present moment as much as possible and take advantage of it as much as possible. And it's pretty much the answer.
Love it. Absolutely love it. So it sounds to me like you just jumped in full throttle, and not saying you went into it blindly, but you just decided, I'm going to jump into it and I'll figure things out as I go along, much like I've been doing. So what are 3 to 5 things that you wish you had known before starting your business?
Yeah. So First off, I would say the number one, it's gonna take some time. It's definitely gonna take some time is what I wish I knew, because when I jumped into it, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna start my business. I'm gonna make money. I'm gonna be financially free. I'm gonna do all of these wonderful things. But 1 year later, I'm nowhere where I want to be, and it makes me realize that life is a very long-term game. Um, when you do anything, especially if you're trying to make create really big results for yourself and for your life. um and regardless of what you do, I think definitely just being okay with the fact and accepting the fact that it's going to take some time is the biggest thing that I wish I knew. The second thing I wish I knew is that if I'm going to start a business, I need to go all in from the start, because I started technically, we launched and we started in March of 2019, but we didn't really start taking this serious. When I say we, I say my brother and I, because my brother is my business partner. But we didn't start taking it seriously until about September, I would say. And just the time between March and September, it was kind of, like a waste of time really, because we weren't going all in the sense of trying to build our business and work on the systems and everything and just overall growing it and getting as many clients as possible. We weren't even treating it like as a side hustle or like as a hobby or anything. It was just something that we were like, oh yeah, it's our business. It was more of like a title thing for us at the time, just because we felt good about it. But definitely going all in is something that I wish I knew, because when I say I wish I knew, I think these are things that we all know, but there's different levels of understanding to different concepts is the way I see it. You can see something at the surface level and you can understand it for what it is, or you can understand it at its deepest level and know in your heart exactly what that means, and knowing in my heart that going all in is something that it must be done, and knowing in my heart that this is going to take some time just overall shifts the entire paradigm that I have when it comes to thinking about business. The third thing I wish I knew is, first off, making a decision, and following up on that decision. So what I mean by that is what I wish I knew is, when I go out and I make a decision for myself and for my business, and I have this intention of accomplishing a certain thing, I wish I knew that I'm making that decision, but I can't do everything, right? I only have time to do a certain amount of things. And that's one of the lessons that I've been slowly starting to learn. The lesson of understanding that there's only 24 hours in a day. Unfortunately, it's just how it is. And you don't have time to do everything. And if you want to take your business from here to here, you can't sit around doing everything all the time. You're going to have to trust people, and you're going to have to give your work to certain people, and you're just going to have to, put it in put the work in others people's hands sometimes, and just, have faith and trust them, rather than, you doing it yourself because you want to make sure that it gets done the right way. Giving it to them so you can work on the actual business and work on, the systems and everything in place, and making sure that it becomes a fully functional organization.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
So of all the businesses that you and your brother could have started, why web design?
So I've shared this story so many times, but I went to this event called 10X GrowthCon, held by this man named Grant Cardone, and it was in February of 2019. And basically the event was about a bunch of different billionaires and millionaires coming around the world, sharing, their success story and how they did it and everything. And pretty much there was this guy who went up on stage. He was a speaker. He's this huge social media guru. His name is Ty Lopez. He has 3 million, 4 million followers, something like that. But basically he went up on stage. He was sharing his laptop, sharing his screen with a projector to show the entire crowd what exactly he was seeing on his laptop screen. And the way the event was set up was the people who sat closest to the front row paid the most for their seats. So the people who were sitting in the first 10 rows, they paid $25,000 for their seat or something like that, for a 3-day event, which is a lot of money in my opinion for a 3-day event. So if these people who are business owners who have $25,000 to spend on a 3-day event, well, let me backtrack a little bit actually. What he did was he was asking people to raise their hands, and he was handpicking people to analyze their website right in front of the crowd, and to basically, you know, like audit their website right in front of those 30,000 people. So the reason why I chose to start this business was because if these people have $25,000 to spend and they're getting their website audited in front of a crowd of 30,000 people by a social media guru who does web design, and he's telling them that their website is bad, and they're confirming the fact that their website is bad, that they're not getting enough from their website, or they're not getting as much as they would like to get from their website, then that just showed me and my brother that this industry of web design was just lacking in the amount of people that are actually doing this, you know, building websites that win, which is what we're doing. So basically we saw, you know, a massive opportunity for building really good quality websites, and realizing this is something that no one is doing, or only a small amount of people are doing. So we thought, you know, maybe, you know, there's a really big problem here to be solved for a lot of businesses, for a lot of high-end business owners who are experiencing and have yet to find the proper solution when it comes to building a good website and a proper website. So long story short, we basically decided that we were going to become the number one solution to this problem, to the problem of, you know, having a really good website for your business. And that some way, somehow in the future, that we will become the website company to work with. And, you know, we're not there yet, but I'm a firm believer in life and in anything that the first step in anything is just to make a decision. And once you've made the decision of where you want to go and where you're headed, that everything else falls into a place as a result of that firm decision, and the actions necessary to make that decision a reality will just, you know, naturally fall into place over time.
Awesome. So what advice, and this fifth and final question is actually twofold. So number one, what advice would you give someone that is starting their business today? And number two, what advice would you give them in particular in regards to their website?
So advice for someone starting their own business, you have to go all in, just all in. You have to immerse yourself in whatever it is that you're choosing to do. Like literally just immerse yourself. Like consider it like a sea, and like you're like literally just jumping into like a 50 foot deep ocean with like crazy waves, because like you just have to immerse yourself. Because if you're going to decide for yourself that this is now the game that you're going to be playing in life, the game of owning your own business, you have to be doing everything in your power to make sure that you win this game, because owning a business and running a business and growing a business is not a small game to be playing, and it requires so much. And quite frankly, I don't think everyone is meant to or even designed to be a business owner, but you have to go all in. You can't hesitate. You can't think about it twice. No second thoughts. You have to first decide what it is you want to do, make sure that that's what you really want to do, and then just go all in. Because if it's something, you know, you really, really want, then why would you not go all in? And then you're going to sit around wondering why things didn't turn out the way that you thought they would. And another piece of advice, kind of, you know, what I spoke about earlier, is that it does take time. It does take a lot of time. I'm 13 months in now into owning a business, and I'm just starting to really pick up on my business. And every day I learn something new. And I literally mean that when I say that every day I literally learn something new. And it's just crazy how it works, because it's like the more you learn, it feels like you actually know less.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So to answer the second part of your question, for someone starting their business and building their website out for their business, what I would say is definitely hire a professional to do it, to get the job done from the start, because your website is what's going to be driving all of your online results. So consider that when you're building your website, you know, you're fundamentally building like the literal foundation of your online house, because your website is the online house for your business, basically. And if you don't have a good foundation, then the house it'll crumble and fall over time. And you're eventually going to have to rebuild it later on a second time. And this time, making sure that the strong foundation is in place, which, you know, it's really just going to make you lose time overall, which is something that I'm pretty sure nobody wants. Nobody wants to have a website and then have to redo it again a year later, and then have to redo it again a year later, and then have to redo it again a year later just to make sure that the job is done right when you could have got it done right the first time. Or you can build it yourself to, save money and for budgeting purposes, which is what a lot of people do. And if you're going to build it yourself, make sure you spend a good amount of time building it out the right way the first time. And, make sure that you're building it in a way that it's meant to win, in a way that it's meant to convert. Just make sure that you don't just slap a few pages together on a website and just hope it sticks, because that's not going to work.
So you talk a lot about, building a website that is good and converts. And, for someone like me that's not in this industry, what does that look like? What does that mean? If someone has to, for budgeting purposes, build their own website right now, what are some key things that they absolutely must have? And to follow up on that, do you have any resources that they can reference to get some more information from you later on?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. I would say what a good website looks like, there's not really a specific look to it, because not only every website looks different, but the design of a website and the prettiness of a website, like the design aspect of a website, really have anything to do with how much the website is winning or how much the website is selling or how much the website is converting. It just means that the website is pretty. What I tell people is a website looks good as a byproduct of how clear it is. So essentially, the way I like to describe it is there's these things called CTAs, which are call to actions on websites, and you want to have as many call to actions as possible on your website, which basically gives your website visitors something to do when they visit your site, whether that be them giving you their email for your weekly newsletter or purchasing a product on your store, whatever it is. You need to have a very clear call to action that tells your customers and tells your visitors, look, this is what you're on my website for. This is what I want for you. And overall, just, having it kind of in a funnel basis where they enter your website, and then as they slowly go through the process of your site, at the end is you collecting whatever it is that you want to collect from them, whether it be, like I said, an email or a purchase, a sale, whatever it is. And that's all a byproduct of how clear the information is on your website and how clear it is exactly what it is that you're offering them and how clear it is, whatever problem it is that you're solving for them. And just the overall clarity behind the solution that you're solving for them, the value that you're giving them, because you want them to basically be begging you to take their money. You literally want your website visitors to be begging you to take their money or begging you to take their email, because you have so much information to offer them that they can't live without your information.
Got it. Awesome. So if anyone watching has any questions or they want you to audit their website because they slapped it together, but they know that they need help, where can they go to get more information from you, or how can they contact you?
So you can visit my website, Unimo Studios, UNIMO studios.com, and you can fill out the email contact form, and you can shoot me an email, and we can go ahead and talk. Or you can reach out to me on Instagram, social media at Gabe Ruz, Gaberuz, or you can add me on Facebook, Gabriel Ruz, Gabrielruz. Anyway, or LinkedIn, linkedin.com/Gabe Ruz, same thing as my Instagram. Anyway, just find me, contact me, and I'm giving free consultations to anybody and everybody during these crazy times of coronavirus.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to answer our questions. And I look forward to seeing where Unimo Studios goes in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Amelia. I appreciate this.